Okay, everyone, we already made a business case. We convinced our governance that we're on the right track. They gave us a green light. They allocated funding. We're ready to move forward. Now I'm ready to gather my team, my resources, create agreements with my partners, promote coordination within the organization by outlining operational level agreements. Now I'm ready to work on my catalog and really, implement the services, bring them from the pipeline into the catalog, and actually build the information on the catalog so that it can be presented to the customer. And so we're ready to move forward. This phase of the information technology infrastructure library we refer to as service design. We are going to design the service that we have advocated for. Okay? What is the purpose of service design? We are trying to design, in essence, the service that will operationalize the objectives. We're trying to operationalize. But the first step before we make it operational is to design it. We're gonna have to design it. What is it that we're creating? We're creating new services, change services, or we're updating services. What is it that we're trying to do by abiding to these recommendations? We're trying to improve and optimize the service. This is one of our main goals in the design. We're trying to turn this plan that was created in the service strategy phase into operational, right? It turns the strategy into a plan for delivering business objectives. So now we're really going to sit down and start working and planning and all hands on deck, basically. Okay, what is it that we're trying to do? What is the purpose of service design? This is key. That's a test question right there. Purpose of service design is to reduce total cost of ownership. Reduce total cost of ownership. We're trying to reduce the cost of the company into that service by creating processes or designing a service that is cost effective. We're trying to improve the quality of the service. We're trying to improve the consistency. Are we delivering this service consistently on a regular basis and across the board among our customers? We're trying to improve IT governance. We're trying to improve service alignment. We're trying to align to the mission, vision, goals, and objectives of the organization. We're trying to bring forth performance. We're trying to perform. We're trying to make sure that we are coming up with processes that make it easier for us to deliver the service. If the processes that we create do not make it easier for us to deliver the service, then it's not cost effective. All right? Service design brings value to the business. More effective service management and IT processes. That's what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to align the business value with the customer value, right? So that's the sweet spot right there in this area where it's a win-win situation, right? It's a win for the customer. The customer is receiving a service that the customer believes that the benefit is greater than the cost, okay? And the business, from the side of the business, we are trying to create a service that that is profitable, basically, right? That's how you create a win-win situation, by ensuring that you fulfill the needs of the customer, so that the customer can see the value in that, and that you are getting compensated accordingly by the customer. We're trying to improve information and decision making by making this design, right? We're trying to improve alignment with customer values and strategy, okay? The goal of service design. The goal of service design is to appropriate and innovate IT services. The goal of service design is to appropriate and innovate IT services, including their architectures, processes, policies, documentations to meet the current and future agreed business requirements, right? This is where strategy comes into play, all right? Where do we want to be 3 years from now? Where do I want to be 5 years from now? My purpose is to design a service or processes that will operationalize that service, that will foresee effective function of the delivery of the service into the future for as long as possible without the need for maintenance, okay, or with minimum maintenance. If we design a service, right, if we design processes to deliver a service that are effective, we shouldn't have to be making too many adjustments, okay? Our continual service improvement evaluations should produce very effective results, and the adjustments that we would be making in the future would be very minimum. Okay, that's the overall goal. If we design something that needs adjustments on a regular basis, then that means we didn't do a very good job during the designing process. Okay, so I'm trying to be as effective as possible in the designing, so that I don't have to deal with it later. Okay. In fact, you want to design processes that even if you leave the company, the process can still continue to operate years after, right? And that's very satisfactory, I tell you. I just found out the company that I work for is still doing a lot of the stuff that I built. They're still following a lot of the processes that I put in place. Why? Because they realized over time that they were very effective processes. And if they made some adjustments, they probably just trying to, respond to the current state of the market. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to reinvent the processes, right? So it feels really good I haven't been there since May of 2015, and it's what, 2 years later, and they're still using those processes, and it looks like they're thriving. So that feels pretty good. That means that that was a good and effective design of those processes. And so, in any case, you have processes within service design that we need to be familiar with. We have key concepts, and one of the key concepts is the 5 aspects of service design, which I outlined here because they are so important. Okay, you're gonna need to memorize the 5 aspects of service design. In fact, we're gonna have to memorize all of these concepts, because you can get a question in the ITL exam foundation about any of these concepts in reality, But I've extracted the 5 aspects of service design here because I believe that the 5 aspects of service design are the most difficult to digest, because it's so condensed, okay? And so that's why I put them out here on its own box. But in any case, the processes of service design are design coordination, service catalog management, service level management, capacity management, availability management, continuity management, security management, and supplier management are the processes that are involved in designing in designing an effective service within an enterprise. Some of the key concepts are the RACI model. We're going to go over what the RACI model is. What are the different types of sourcing strategies? The 5 aspects of service design, which are service, tools, management, processes, and metrics. Okay, we're gonna talk about that when we get there more in detail. All right. We're also gonna talk about the 4 P's of service design. I already introduced the 4 P's of service design to you as part of the introduction to this course. But moving forward, this is definitely one aspect of the information technology infrastructure library that I want you to consider every time you talk about any concept that has to do with the ITIL foundations, okay, or the ITIL infrastructure, the IT infrastructure library, okay, because you have to take all of those 4 aspects into consideration in order to make sure that you are as holistic as possible in your approach, okay? And then we'll briefly describe the service design package, which is the end result of everything that we have done in the service strategy phase and in the service design phase. Okay, so what we're gonna hand over to the service transition team is the service design package, which contains all the documentation of the service design and all the material that was created in the service strategy phase. So let's jump right on it. What are the 5 aspects of service design? Well, things that we need to take into consideration are service solutions. What is it that we're trying to address? We're trying to address service solutions for new or changed services. We're trying to design new or changed services, including what could be functional requirements, resources, and capacities. Okay? And so we're trying to provide solutions, basically, to problems, or we're trying to provide solutions to the needs of the customer. We are trying to design tools. We're going to design tools that will allow us to manage this service, okay? Depending on the nature of the service, it may be that you will have to evaluate different software, for example, that will effectively produce the output required for you to be able to manage the delivery of the service, right? But we're going to have to either design the tools, right? Or we're going to have to evaluate what tools are already available out there that you can implement into the goals that you're trying to achieve, right? Because in here, we need tools to manage, control, and support services, okay? We're gonna need tools to build a service portfolio, to work with our portfolio, okay? Basically build our catalog. Because in the service design, we're just concentrating on the catalog, right? We're bringing things that are in the pipeline, and we are rebuilding our catalog, okay, so that it reflects what was green-lighted in the service strategy. And we're also, if we decided in the service strategy that we're going to retire a service, then this is where we're going to remove that item from the service catalog, so that it's not available for the customer anymore. They will not be able to see it when they open up the website, okay, or their catalog. Architectures, right? This is another thing we're trying to design. We're trying to design technologies that are necessary to provide the service, okay? So this is where we're actually gonna, if a network infrastructure needs to be engineered, then this is where it's gonna happen, okay? If we need to lay out cable, this is where it's gonna happen. If we need to configure a server, right, in order for it to operate within certain parameters, so that to meet the objective that you're trying to get to, we're going to perform that configuration here, right, as part of the architecture. We're trying to manage the technology, basically. And including all the design technologies needed to provide services, as well as including all the areas of 4Ps of service management, right? Why? Because I may need to allocate human resources that have the capacity, okay, the talent necessary to go and configure the architecture, or in other words, the servers, or configure the routers, right? I'm gonna need to have human resources, right? That's the 4P, the people. I'm gonna need to grab the people component of things in order to manipulate the product, which is the architecture or computer equipment in essence, right? So if I need a Cisco router configure, I'm gonna need to go to people and bring people and have people go and configure the product, right? If I have a web server that needs to be configured, then I have to go find the people with the talent so that I can affect the product, have the product be configured, because I'm designing how this service is going to be delivered. If I need partners, then this is where I'm gonna go and build relationships with the partners, maybe go to their location, outline service level agreements, right? So remember the 4Ps, right? That's the partners. If I need a new processes or additional processes to deliver this service effectively, then this is where we're going to address those issues, right? This is part of the management, the technology management, the architecture aspect of things, right? What processes do we need? Processes required, right? When we're going to create processes that will activate and establish, right? We're going to need to define inputs. Remember the process models has inputs and it has output, right? It has inputs. The inputs are the triggers, and the output is a defined or specific output that is measurable, okay? And that we can take some feedback from it so that we can put that feedback back into the model and provide service improvement. We need to define inputs and outputs, as well as activate and establish norms. What are the norms? What are the norms that are necessary so that this service can be delivered effectively? Okay, we might need to establish standards. So we're gonna have to write documentation. We're gonna have to write instructions. We're gonna have to write white papers. We're going to have to write information into a knowledge base. Okay, so we're gonna have to create articles, okay, that will outline what the norms and the standards for conducting these processes are, so that we can effectively deliver the service. Okay, so a lot of writing, a lot of documentation, a lot of meetings. So we're working at the intellectual level, but we're also working at the hands-on level, like actually doing stuff, building the catalog, outlining agreements, writing them down, discussing the agreements with the stakeholders. What are the measurements? We need to design metrics. We need to have an agreed upon methodology for how we are going to measure the success or lack thereof of the service that we are designing. Okay? Question, Evelina.
Yeah, that was for the previous slide that the Venn diagram. I'm not quite sure I understand the cross section of the business value and the customer value.
Oh, you way up here?
Yeah, all the way to the Venn diagram.
Yeah, what's important to the business and what's important to the customer, right?
So they have to.
We're trying to align. Remember that now you're taking us back a little bit, right? Because with value creation, this is what value creation has. This has to do with value creation as well, right? Because I'm not just going to create a product and put a price on it without considering what the needs of the user are, right? I need to make sure that I align myself, improve alignment with customer values and strategies, right? So I'm trying to ensure that I maintain my value. That's what this means in this slide. I'm trying to make sure that I maintain my value by understanding what the needs of the customers are, right? So I'm gonna make changes to my services, right? I'm gonna include new services. I'm going to retire services. I'm going to modify existing services in order to align to the needs of the customer. Why? Because this spot right here in the center of these two circles, I want to maintain that sweet spot where the customer feels that the cost that they're paying for the service is less than the value that they're getting. So another way of saying that would be that the customer needs to feel like that the value that they are getting is greater than the cost, greater than what they are paying for. Okay, does that make sense? So I'm designing in a way that I want to maintain this sweet spot right here, right? This is what I would call the win-win spot. Okay. Okay, now with the 5 aspects, this is a little tricky, everyone. Okay, because this is what we call the acronym for this is STAMP, but with the P before the M. Okay, why? Because the solutions, T for tools, A for architecture, okay, STA, and then the P for processes, and the M for metrics. In that order, okay? STAMP, but you switch the P and the M. Can you remember that? Yeah? I know, huh? I know, this could be very stimulating to the brain. Okay, 5 aspects of design, you have to memorize them. You have to memorize them. And the way to memorize them is through STAMP, right? STAMP, solutions, tools, architecture, processes, and metrics, right? We need to know how, we need to make sure that we understand whether it's working or not. That's why we need the metrics. What is the RACI chart? By the way, these are the key concepts, okay? I'm going through the key concepts first. We're not talking about processes yet. Okay, these are the key concepts of service design. Not processes yet. We're gonna get there. Okay? So, RACI chart, the RACI chart, those of you who've done project management may be familiar with the RACI chart because we also use that in project management. Basically, what this document does, it allows us the ability to understand who's responsible for what and who needs to be notified of things, and who's accountable, and who could be a person that can be consulted, right? So the R here stands for responsible. That's the person working on the activity. I'm gonna have to lay out this RACI chart in order to delegate responsibilities and manage those responsibilities through the process of designing the service. Okay, so who's gonna be responsible for outlining this? Well, generally it's gonna be the service design manager. That person operates within service design management, which is one of the processes of service design. Woo! How you guys feel? Your brain tickling yet?
Nice.
Yeah?
Or like numb.
It's numb, huh? Okay.
You can feel my face when I read.
So basically what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, check it out. In order for us to conduct, to get through the design phase, we're gonna need to create a list of the things that need to happen, okay? This needs to happen. We need to, for example, in this case, we have to initiate phase activities, right? We need to submit project requests, request review by PMO, research solution, develop business case, create project charter, create schedule, create additional plans as required, build deliverables, create reports, and so on and so forth, right? This is just an example of a RACI chart. And then basically what we use here, we use roles. We don't use names. Why do I use roles here? In order to assign a letter within this chart, whether somebody is responsible, accountable, which is the person with decision-making authority, whether somebody needs to be consulted. In most cases, it's going to be a key stakeholder who should be included in the decisions. Okay? Some people need to be informed, just need to know. I just need to know what you're working on. I don't need to be involved. I don't need to be the one making the decisions. I just need to know what you guys are working on so that if I need to speak to it, then I have the information. Does that make sense? So we don't put the names of the people in here. What we do is put the roles. The activities are here, and the activities are parallel, and the roles are horizontal. That's one way of remembering, okay? Why? Because it could be that Manny is the tech lead today, but tomorrow he moves on to another department, okay? So whomever I put in that position, I can pull up the RACI chart and say, you're responsible for that, okay? You have an R in this specific project objective, and so that's gonna be one of your part of your job description moving forward. Okay, it doesn't matter who the person is, but the chart is not gonna change once it's finished. Okay, and so what is a RACI chart? Is a document that gives you the ability to distribute responsibilities to the different members of the team, and also outlines who needs to be informed, and also outlines who is accountable. The person with the decision-making authority could be an executive, a supervisor, a junior level manager, if you will, right? The person actually working on the activity is responsible. You see that? So RACI chart, you have to remember, is an acronym for outlining roles and responsibilities to different individuals as we are working on the development or the design of a specific process. Okay? The RACI acronym stands for responsible, accountable, okay, consultant, and informed. Consultant and informed. This person might be a person who's has a lot of experience, and we need that person's feedback. Okay, that's a consultant. That person doesn't necessarily need to be working on the activity, but it's somebody who has important input into how things should be done. Okay, normally somebody with a lot more experience. And then the other concept of service design are the 4 Ps. The people aspect of things. And when we're talking about people here, we are considering things like culture, organization, competence, and organization as in organizational chart, okay? How things are outlined within the organization. Culture is very important. In fact, this morning I heard that the CEO of Uber, you know, is removing himself from the position, still gonna remain in the board of as part of the board of directors, but you know, they made a decision that it is to the best interest of the company to move that person to another, you know, to a whole different level. Maybe I think they're gonna put him over there in the basement, you know, just like that movie Office. You guys remember that movie Office? If you haven't seen it, you should see it. It's heck of funny. And so they're gonna put him all the way down there, and then nobody's ever gonna hear from him ever again. But why? Because we're trying to change the culture, right? The people aspect of things is very important. So culture can definitely drive how business operates. Okay, so products, right? Products here stands for technology, and basically what we're taking into consideration is the systems, the networks, and the tools necessary to perform the work. The other P is for partners. in most cases will be suppliers, right? For managed services. And then the processes. The processes outline what to do, how to do it, where to do it, and when to do it. Okay? That's why you need processes. The process outline all these things. What to do, how to do it, where to do it, and when to do it. Those are the 4 P's of service design, and those are the things that we need to take into consideration when we are designing a service. Okay? And then the other concept is the service design package, which is a collection of documents or a document. But in this, it really is a collection of documents that describes all aspects of an IT service and its requirements through each stage of the life cycle. Through each stage of the life cycle. What is a service design package? A document. What is an SDP? Come on, everybody. What is it?
Document.
A document. Okay, that describes all aspects of the service that we're providing. Okay, and the requirements. Elements of the service design package. Okay, the service requirements. What is it required for us to deliver this service? Everything that was created in the service design will be part of the service design package as far as documentation is concerned. Part of the service design package should contain a plan for the life cycle of the service. Okay? What is the plan for transitioning? What is the acceptance performance plan for operation once we are operational? Okay? What is the acceptance criteria? What numbers are acceptable and what numbers are not acceptable? Okay? What performance is acceptable and what performance is not acceptable? Oops, sorry about that. This thing went a little crazy on me here. Service design package is the major. A service design package is the major output of service design. Okay, that's a key concept. Key concept. It will also contain an organizational readiness assessment. What is an organizational readiness assessment? It's a plan that details. It details the business benefit, the financial assessment, and the required skills in order to conduct this, the delivery of this service, right? So we're trying to evaluate whether we as an IT department are ready to deliver the service by evaluating our financials, the benefits, and whether we have the skills necessary to make it happen, okay? Processes of service design are design coordination, catalog management, SLM, service level management, capacity management, availability management, service continuity management, security management, and supplier management, okay? What is the purpose of the design coordination again? The purpose of the design coordination, which is the first process of the service design phase of the information technology infrastructure library, is to ensure that the goals and objectives of the service design phase are met by providing and maintaining a single point of coordination and control. And basically what this means is that we're going to give the one individual power to coordinate and control the processes that are required to effectively produce a service design package. This individual will be responsible for maybe outlining the RACI chart, okay? Holding people accountable for deliverables within specific timeframes, okay? Reminding people of meetings, reminding people of their deliverables that are due dates and things like that. Okay, maybe assisting in the different processes throughout different departments with different people, with different folks, in order to effectively ensure that the service design package contains all the elements necessary for it to be moved forward to the transition team. Okay, so this individual coordinates the activities. Okay, he has to have a consistent approach to the design activities, right? So if we have the service design coordinator will ensure that there's consistency. Okay, again, by coordinating people, again, we're dealing with people, you know, the hardest element known to men. But basically what we're trying to ensure, or what this person is responsible for, right? There you have your design coordinator right there. You should try to put everything together, right? Because we're trying to ensure consistency across projects, changes, suppliers, and support team. We're trying to manage and coordinate resources. This person will probably be responsible for inputting all that information into the service design package, basically compiling, summarizing, okay, the different requirements, the different tools, the different talents, the different resources necessary to deliver the service. This person is going to monitor, assisting monitoring and improving the service design phase. So this person might need to provide some feedback during the continual service improvement process as to what could be improved, so that that information can be taken back into the strategy phase, and so that we can re-strategize a more effective delivery of the service as we move into the future. Okay, so very good experience, right? If you ever have to be the service design coordinator, well, that's a big experience. Or if you could ever work together with a service design coordinator, yeah. But that's that, right? That's the design coordination aspect of things. Design management. Who is responsible for ensuring that we are on track with all the elements necessary to produce a service design package that will kick ass. And yes, I can say that. This is an adult school. Yes, Paul.
Personality type that would be a good, strong design coordinator.
A leader, right? A leader who has people skills, right? And has good communication skills, and
You have to wear a
that's,
lot of hats.
you might have to,
I
yes.
don't want that.
Yeah. You don't want it unless it comes with a hefty raise, right?
You have to have some authority too, in order to
That's exactly, and that's the whole purpose of assigning a design coordinator to the process, so that we authorize that individual to hold people accountable for the delivery or lack thereof of items necessary to get to the endpoint, which is the service design package. Yes.
This is input to the design package like creating, and then the only one that ends up the transition.
Yeah, this individual will do the final touches to the service design package, and then hand it over to the transition team. But from monitoring here and improving has to do with the fact that, you know, if an improvement can be made on the ground, then that can happen. But also, we're going to provide feedback to the continual service improvement phase of things. Okay.
Question.
Yes.
How does this person get into this position? Is that governance that will dictate that?
Governance will dictate that, because they are the ones who outline the job objectives.
Okay.
Remember, right? They are the one who outline the job descriptions.
Okay.
And so that will have to be done over governance in the service strategy phase. Okay? But you know, that doesn't mean that some junior executive can't, you know, that this will be a nice project, you know, for a junior executive. Unless the service that we're providing has high risk, I might not want to put a junior executive there, right? So, but I could probably put a junior executive to work on low risk services, okay, deployment of services within the life cycle. Okay, so see how I'm connecting the dots now with service strategy, right? So I gave you that dot there, and so we're gonna be connecting the dots. Thank you for the question, by the way. Management of the service catalog happens here. This is another process of the service design. Management of the service catalog happens during the service design, and basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to provide a single source of information to the customer for the available services that we have currently in the form of a catalog. So for the customers in the computer, it's gonna look something like this, right? Just a menu with options, normally based on topics, categories, and subcategories. Okay? So that if I'm an IT service department, I'm gonna put a menu together for my internal customers where maybe in this website there's gonna be a link for ordering business cards, requesting business cards, requesting mobile devices. If I'm a new employee and I need equipment, okay, I need to order a ergonomic chair because I have, you know, back pain and stuff like that. I need an ergonomic mouse, and so the company may be required, right, to provide these things based on current laws of the land that require employers to provide these devices, and so maybe that could be one of my catalog items. Where an employee can log into an intranet, go into the catalog and make a request. Now, that basically what that is a trigger, right? Because then that will begin an entire workflow that will require approval from a manager, you know, and then somebody will get a work order, and then the order will be made, and then the order will be fulfilled, okay? So, what is a catalog? It's a subset of the service portfolio. It's a subset of the service portfolio. When you cannot see things that have been retired or things that are in the pipeline, in the catalog, okay? But why do I need a catalog? Because I need a way to provide triggers to the customers. And so, a catalog is a database of or a structured document with information about all the live IT services or transitioning services. We're going to publish this catalog to the users so that they can see it, right? If you don't publish it, they cannot see it. So we're basically building a website that's, in essence, a menu, okay? Whomever is responsible for managing the catalog manager is a job position. You could be a catalog manager. Normally, this is why, because in this class we're teaching ServiceNow, for example, right? ServiceNow has the capacity of allowing you to build catalog items, a catalog just like this, if you will, that can be modified. And so, imagine if you work for Netflix, for example, and you're a catalog manager. What is your job? To list the movies that are available, right? What happens when a movie gets retired? It gets deleted, right? And then it moves on. Maybe it says, oh, this movie's unavailable, right? Because it's retired. But there may be other stuff that's in the pipeline. And so if I'm the service catalog manager, I'm getting a work order based on a decision that was made at the strategic phase for me to add a new item to the catalog or a number of items to a new service, right? So I'm adding these different services to the catalog, which involves basically going into a website, an interface that allows me administratively the power to make modifications to the website in the background so that I can put new items in a catalog, create a description of the catalog, okay? Create tags for that item so that to give choices to the users, right? So let's say that one of our services that we provide is mobile devices for our customers, internal customers, because we're IT department within an organization, and so, but mobile devices have different features, right? Let's say that somebody wants a black phone, somebody wants a orange phone, or a gray phone, or a bluish phone, right? So I have all these different options, and so as a catalog manager, I may need to build right within my catalog, put images of the phones, upload them, and then create a description, and then create options for the different colors. You guys with me? Yeah. And so as a catalog manager, that could be your full-time job. I'm managing the catalog, right? Or imagine being the catalog manager for like Facebook or LinkedIn, right? Companies like that they're just huge catalogs, right? Just monster catalogs. In essence, that's right. But or airlines, if you go to an airline and you look at the list of flights, that is your catalog.
Yeah.
That's what you're looking at. Somebody in the background is managing, or a group of people that hold a specific function. Catalog management are managing the items that are, or services that are going live in the catalog, okay? And so the catalog is what the customer-facing aspect of the portfolio. Yes, Belina, question.
How much of that is manually entering the description of the service items, and how much of that is automatically, where you can probably copy paste it from an Excel spreadsheet?
I'm gonna venture to say, arguably speaking, that about 75% of it is manual, and the rest is automated. Yes. So catalog manager, it's a full-time job. Yes. Yeah, you're a lot of typing, a lot of entering information, removing. You're getting all the list of work orders of things that you have to do. You could work from home. So that could be a nice position to have, right? That you get paid. I'm not sure how much a catalog manager makes, but you could probably go to salary.com and figure it out. All right? But depending on the size of the company, it could be that we need a team of people. One person cannot do it effectively and still be productive, and still ensure that we are holding the value proposition that the customer has as far as perspective, So tricky situation there. Yes, question.
Just as a follow-up question on the service catalog manager, in the case where there's a team of managers working on a project, would it be the design coordinator's job to distribute the work between
It could be, right. That's right. So the design coordinate. So the question is, if we have multiple individuals that have to work on the catalog, who will manage it? Well, in reality, they could decide how they're going to do it, right? Because remember that ITIL is non-prescriptive. They could decide that they're going to have an individual who's going to be in charge, of managing that team. But at the end of the day, so that somebody needs to report to the coordinator, the design coordinator, because we need to put all that information as part of the service design package. Okay, and so good question. But you see, yes, another question.
Can you give us an example of transitioning services being presented on this customer-facing platform?
So, for example, we might have services that we're going to discontinue, and so I might need to we're not gonna just, you know, cold turkey discontinue the service because, you know, you might disrupt the perception of the customer as far as value, right? So if I have a transition in service, an example would be that, you know, we go in here and we make a modification to that service to notify the customers that that service will be discontinued on a specific date. As of September 15, we will not provide this service anymore. So it's transitioning. You see that? But we're not retired. It's not retired yet. We need to have a ramp time, right? Or maybe we are about to deploy a new service, and so we create a catalog item that says, you know, this service will be available starting, you know, January 1st of 2018. You see how it's transitioning, right? And so that we're preparing our customers for what's coming, we're preparing them for what is about to be retired, and we are also presenting with what's there, just, you know, live and thriving.
So that's like pretty much outphasing things you say you haven't do these days to avoid that. Like, it's new reorders, like you have a new company next month, you want to pre-order it now.
That's right. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. So, you know, we could use that to say you could pre-order, right? You could pay a deposit, pre-order, and Microsoft does that with their Xboxes, right? And PlayStations does that also as well. Sony and so Tesla, that's right.
Did that very big.
They haven't even invented the car, and people are already buying it, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Pre-sold, huh? Yeah, they haven't even built one of them yet. Huh? They're still in the They're still working on the blueprints. Yeah, but you see how? Okay, so we're transitioning services, but we're working with the catalog basically on both ends. But specifically, what we're trying to manage here is the catalog, right? What's live and available to the customer. Okay, we don't say here that we're working on the entire portfolio, but rather we're working on the catalog. And so that could be tricky in the mind when you're trying to put things together and organize all these concepts, you know, because you think, okay, service portfolio is happening in service strategy, catalog management service catalog management is happening in service design, but in reality, in the service design phase, we are facing things in and facing things out. Okay. Many.
Yeah. So the catalog management is an ongoing task. Just keeps on every day.
You have a
day.
full-time job. Yeah, full-time job. All right. As long as the company is in business, you have a job because the catalog keeps rotating. Right? We're not gonna put a catalog up there and not ever change it. Even McDonald's doesn't do that. You know. They bring in that barbecue burger once a year or something like that for about a month or two. Right? So they're like that. That's kind of in a cycle, right? So let's make it even more complex, as if it wasn't complex enough. Okay. There are two types of catalogs. Okay. All right, there's two types of catalogs. Number one doesn't exist. There is a two-view catalog, and there's a three-view catalog. A two-view catalog, let's slow down here for a minute because this chart, I think it takes a second to digest, okay? A two-view catalog is a catalog that provides, let me see, maybe a better look of a two-view catalog would be this right here, right? So if I am the training department, okay, I wanted to show you this chart because that's what's in the book, I believe. But this chart is like hella confusing. All right, that's why I put the one over there and the two over here, because this is the first view, is the view to the customer, right? But then you have for the service department, you have an internal view. So what does that mean? That means that if I am a business, right, I'm going to provide one catalog. That's the business service catalog, okay? That provides basically a menu that's forward-facing to the customer that these departments are providing services to, okay? That these departments are providing services to, but the people out here, okay? The people up here does not necessarily need to have access to the technology service catalog. Because in essence, here's what I'm doing, right? It's a two-view because I need one catalog that I need to build for the departments that provide services to the customer, okay? But the customers do not need to see the internal catalog, which provide internal services to the departments that provide services to external customers. Whoa, I don't know if that made any sense.
It's like a two-way mirror.
It is, because the forward-facing customer, okay, do not need to see, right? Do not need to see the internal, right? They do not need. If I'm internal department, my customers that I provide service to do not need to see my internal catalog that I utilize to order business cards. They don't need access to that because they're not going to be ordering business cards. So I need a menu. As the IT department is responsible for building a catalog for the forward-facing the customer that does not contain internal, right, technical support, right? So I'm gonna be building two catalogs, and I think
Probably explain in Amazon example.
We need a new chart.
We order from Amazon. We don't need to know what Amazon uses to get the product shipped.
That's right. We don't need to see what the Amazon employee. Right. So if you go to Amazon, you see a list of items. Right. That's your customer-facing catalog. Mm-hmm. Okay. But if I call customer service, the customer service representative has another catalog that provides services to them internally. Yeah, I have another example of this. Let me see, where did it go? I guess I don't have that slide here. No, in essence what we have an internal catalog and we have an external catalog. We have an internal catalog and we have an external catalog. This is what we call a two-view catalog, okay? And I have an image in my mind, but I guess I'm gonna create a slide about it. Because we're gonna provide technical support, right, to my internal customers from an IT department perspective, remember? I'm providing services to this. That's a type 1, that's a type 2, service provider. If I'm a type 2 service provider, I'm responsible for creating a menu for what my internal departments can see, what services I provide to my internal departments, but I'm also responsible for building a catalog. And let me erase this because let me just give you this image. I thought I created one last semester, but I guess I didn't. Another way to see this, because I know that this could be a little bit overwhelming. But in any case, this is my IT department, okay? My IT department provides services to all these internal departments. And then, but these departments internal, so I can have, business units here, a business unit here, they in turn provide service to external customers. You guys remember that? So they provide to external here. These people here do not even know that I exist. You guys see that? But my job as an IT department is to create a catalog in here that is that these people can see, my internal. But I will also be responsible for creating a catalog, okay? I'm managing this catalog as well. You guys see that? I'm managing, it's a two-view catalog because this is my first view and this is my second view. These customers out here cannot see the available options here because these options are only available to my internal departments. Okay, that's how this is two view. Is this making sense, Evan? Yeah. I know this could be a little confusing because of all the mesh. Yeah. I might need to modify this. This is really what I want. I'll create a slide for you guys tonight. Which one? That one?
Yeah. So for 1 and 2, so does that represent like type 2 or
Where?
the 1 and the 2?
No.
Here?
No.
No. This is the view.
Okay.
This represents the view. This is one view to external, a second view to internal. So I'm basically building a catalog like this one that looks one way for internal, another way for external, right? So, but then we have a three-view catalog. So in essence, this is what it looks like. This is what the people will see. Basically a web page with a whole bunch of links of all the services that we provide. But the website for the customer might look different, with different options. They don't need to have access to what you need because you need to do your job and you need technical support, things that they don't need to know about. Okay? And then there's a three-view catalog. A three-view catalog implies that you have one catalog for the internal services, one catalog for external customers, but then this you may need to have different catalogs for different customers.
I see. Oh, yeah.
Why? Because different customers have different needs, and so it could be that these people right here, right, can see that catalog, but then I have other customers here who have different needs, and so I'm gonna create another catalog here, okay, where these people can see. So I'm maintaining that catalog, this catalog, and this catalog. Now it could be that some items that are in this catalog need to be available to those customers, and some items that are in this catalog need to be available to those customers on my right. And so I can overlap, I can allow, there's a way when you're configuring the application, right? And we'll learn that when we get there. When you configure the application, you configure the application so that this customer right here can have access to some of the items of this catalog, but not all. Okay, and some of these customers can have access to some of the items of that catalog, but not all. Let me give you an example, okay? Staples. Oh man, I'm telling you, this guy's got to sponsor me. For God's sake. Saying all these names of all these companies, they have to sponsor me. But Staples, for example, they have, if you, a regular customer, go to staples.com, you will see a menu, okay? But if you are a business customer, you are giving a different login name and password that when you log into that password, your catalog looks completely different, okay? And this happened to us here because last semester we were, or 2 semesters ago, we were trying to figure out how to improve the wireless connection here. And we had agreed here internally that we were going to spend, I think $500 on a wireless device, a wireless access point that will allow us to have stronger wireless signal. Well, my boss sent me an email and said, I need you to go on staples.com because we have an account with them, and look up a device that you recommend and then send me a link. Okay, well, that's exactly what I did, but I don't have access to the business catalog, right? And so I went to the regular website, found an item, sent them the link. Well, it turns out that that item is not available on the business catalog, not available for so he couldn't find it. He couldn't make the purchase. You see that? So until we got together and we logged in together to the Staples website, and then I was able to see the items that were available for businesses. And so we were looking at the 3-view catalog, right? And the same thing because the same thing here because the needs of that customer may not be the needs of this customer, but then they may have overlapping needs. And so I have one catalog that will be available for these customers right here when they log in to make purchases or to make requests, and another catalog that will be available to my other customers, and then one internal catalog, right, for supporting services for my internal departments within the company. Isn't this exciting?
That catalog would have all the information below to this catalog.
Say again?
The internal catalog would have all the information for both of the other two additional catalogs.
Not necessarily, because the internal catalog is internal to provide internal technical support. We may or may not be providing technical support to these external customers, depending on whether we are a type 1, type 2, or type 3 service provider, right? A type 1 service provider provides support to one unit within an organization, one-to-one relationship, okay? Okay, if a type 2 service provider provides services to multiple departments within an organization, that's a one-to-many relationship. A type 3 service provider provides services to internal customers and external customers. That is considered a many-to-many relationship, okay? And so the information that's in this internal catalog, not the same information that's in that catalog, not the same information that's in that catalog. You see how a catalog manager could have their hands full working on all these catalogs that, you know, because we're trying to, what is it that we're trying to do? We are trying to increase value, right? We're trying to automate. We're trying to increase the speed in which business can take place. And so we can do that by isolating, right? I'm not gonna present an item to those customers if it's not available to them. It's not within our service level agreement, okay? And so I may have to create an entire new catalog altogether, you know, for a different customer, for a unique customer, okay? Hold on, Lenny. Evelina.
I assume that also works in terms of different areas for the service. So for example, if it's an international website, we don't want people in one location to be able to see us prices and matter. And you mentioned logins, but I would think that also can be like detected on the back end of the system. So if I'm visiting the website from here, it would be a different screen that I see as opposed to if I'm visiting it from Canada.
Exactly, right. So the proposed idea is that, and yes, you don't necessarily need to log in, but in this case, we do have logins because we're providing specific service to customers that are like retails and wholesale, right? So listen, you know, let me see, who would be a perfect example of this? Napa Auto Parts. Boy, these guys gotta pay, yeah. Napa Auto Parts, you know what they did, right? Back in the day, if you're in the automotive shop, you know, I have an automotive technology background, so I lived through some of those painful dark ages. What would happen is if you needed a part for a vehicle, you would need to pick up the phone, dial the number, and wait until somebody picked up the phone. Right? They put you on hold for 10 minutes. And then you would say, hey, like, what's up? Do you have this part? I need a radiator for 1992 or 2002 Mercedes-Benz C280. And they would go, okay, hold on, let me look at the computer. You hear all the clicking going on, right? And then they would say, oh, no, man, we don't have that part available. Right? We can order it for you. Okay, would you like to order it? We have all these options available. Boom, 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 right? And then imagine, by the time you were done making an order, your entire morning would be gone. Okay? By the time you got the part, it was 3 in the afternoon. Right? By the time you got done with the job, it was 6 in the afternoon, so it would take too long. So what they did is they implemented an intranet, right, where they created internal catalog, right? So one catalog for internal, one catalog for regular customers that go to the website, one catalog for the automotive shops that are members of Napa Auto Parts, so that instead of calling to see if a part is available, they could just go to their catalog, go to the computer to the catalog, see if they log in right to their website, and then see if it's available and make the order online automatically, so that would streamline. But to answer your question or to reply to your comment, that's just one example. But there are companies that have websites for different areas of the world, right? Similar to the IT SFM, was it, website, right? Where you have an international website for everybody. You have one for the US, you have one for Australia, you have one for the UK, right? Or you have a website that's Latin America, a website that's North America, right? A website that's Asia, a website that's Middle East, okay? And so, what do you have? What are you looking at? You're looking at all these different catalogs, and somebody has to manage those catalogs. So there is work out there.
So that's coming out of the one catalog department or function is creating all these different catalogs for the same service.
That's
We just have multiple catalogs.
That's right. You have multiple catalogs for multiple customers that are in multiple locations, or customers that have multiple needs or different needs.
So will that add to the value that the customer will get because you already have an information catalog, and so that'd be a reason for the customer to come to you and get a better price on the service? And since you have to build a catalog to, like say if Napa Parts and then AutoZone wanted to come into the same program.
Yeah, they will have to build their own catalogs. Mm-hmm.
They couldn't just use the core system. Basically,
They're not the same company. AutoZone and Napa Auto Parts are not the same company, or are they?
No, they're not the same. That's what I'm saying. With this catalog company, the companies write this catalog, would they just be for Napa Parts? Or would they just be a company supplying the information to Napa Parts where if AutoZone came in, they just gave them the same access to the parts?
No, I'm afraid I cannot answer that question. In other words, I don't know. Warren, sir.
Just a quick thought along that line. Whoever built that for Melissa, hypothetically, whoever built that for Napa,
Okay, I would appreciate it if you guys speak louder so that we can all listen.
I was just trying to, I think I got a question he was asking. So basically, if Napa Auto Parts commissioned this project to a software company to build this for them,
Yes.
it would be just for their suppliers and for their customers to use. But then the company that built this program can use a similar solution for AutoZone and then offer that to them as something to fill in with the AutoZone inventory, and they can implement
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Unless it's internal proprietary, you know, um, intellectual property.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So remember that a lot of material that's built online is proprietary. You're supposed to reference. You can't just take the information. But some of these stuff, some of these concepts are industry-wide. Hmm. So, is this clear on catalog management?
Catalog management, clear.
When we get to ServiceNow, then hopefully we'll be able to dive deep enough. You'll get an opportunity to create a catalog, modify a catalog item, okay, and manipulate the catalog, and then see how it looks online. All right. So just hang tight. Right now we're just covering the concepts, okay, of the ITL infrastructure. We're not actually doing the work, right? It's just understanding why there's that catalog, and then there's that catalog, and then there's this catalog. And we have two types of catalogs. We have a 2-view catalog and we have a 3-view catalog. That's what you need to know right now, that we have a 2-view catalog and a 3-view catalog. The 2-view catalog is basically two catalogs, one that provides a list of services to the customer facing, and one that provides a list of services to the internal facing, so that services that we provide to the internal departments. In the 3-view catalog, we have two catalogs that are forward facing to the customer, and one catalog that's internal facing to the internal departments. Okay? So in this case, it would be 1, 2, and 3 catalogs. All right, we ready to move to the next topic?
Forging forward.
Okay, service level management. What is the purpose of service level management? The purpose of service level management is to ensure that the current and future planned services are delivered to the agreed. That's key right there. What is it that we are agreeing? Okay, that is your key point indicator. This will outline your key point indicators, KPIs, also known as KPIs. This is what we will use as a baseline or as a reference point for you guys talking about me over there? Because I see you talking and laughing over there. Remember I said that the first day of class?
Yeah.
Stop it. All right. You're making me lose control, lose track of what I'm trying to say. So, see that there goes my recording. The purpose of service level management is to ensure that current and future planned services are delivered to the agreed. If you agree, you agreed. So I'm going to use that as a measurement point, right? To the agreed achievable targets. I only want to agree to things that I can deliver. I will not agree to things that I cannot deliver. Okay? Unless I have a plan for increasing capacity and increasing resources. Okay? So you don't want to set yourself up for failure. The service level manager will need to negotiate, make agreement, monitor, create reports, and conduct reviews of service targets. Okay? Service level manager. A service level manager will be responsible for negotiating, outlining, agreeing, monitoring, mediating among the different parties, so that we have an agreement, and then documenting those agreements, okay, so that it is in place, and so that we can measure it later. Okay, we're also going to, from a hands-on perspective, you actually use an application, right? ServiceNow can be used to create those service level agreements, so that it is automated. So that when we're inputting the data into the system, the system will tell you whether you are within the service level agreement targets or not, whether you're in the red or the green, right? So you might get a work order that says, if you're a ServiceNow administrator, for example, you might get a work order that says you need to enter the service level agreements into the system. And so you basically gonna get a document, that outlines all the agreements, and then you actually go into ServiceNow and you configure the service level agreements based on the customers, right? Based on the different customers. And then you have to enter the roles, functions, the times, the countdown clocks, and basically all these other items that need to be into the system, so that when we're gonna do a review, right? A review, I'm gonna need to pull up a report off of the computer to see whether where we are within the agreed upon delivery of the service. Okay, so that we can pull up metrics and then make sure that we can create a plan of action. Okay, so we need to take corrective action if targets are not achieved. Well, I need to have a way to measure it. And again, the way to measure the service level agreements is to enter the information into an interface that is built in a way that will allow me to build some thresholds and timers. It may be that we as an IT department are agreeing that we will provide service to the human resources department, where if a ticket is open for an incident, we will address the ticket within 4 hours. That's our target. So the moment the ticket is open, the timer begins to run. When somebody opens a ticket on the trigger, right, usually a catalog, the system will automatically begin to run the clock. And so when I open the ticket, it's gonna say, okay, this ticket is 20 minutes into the service level agreement. And so, this desktop support will need to manage that ticket. Okay, maybe conduct the troubleshooting and diagnosing within an hour, and then if they couldn't do it, they need to escalate it with enough time that they're not gonna burn the time, they're not gonna burn the ticket, okay? And so we don't wanna escalate when there's only, oh man, we already spent 3 hours on this ticket and we couldn't diagnose it, let's escalate it. Then by the time, it gets escalated to a different function, which functions might those be?
Tier 2, Tier 3.
Hardware management, application management, operations management. And service desk are the functions, right? Mm-hmm. So service desk gets the ticket, they need to escalate it, right? But if they escalate it with so little time, somebody's gonna be upset, right? Because if I get a ticket and the ticket only has half hour in it before we breach the service level agreement, it's like, what the hell? What are you guys doing over there at the service desk, huh? You guys taking a lot of breaks, huh? I see how it is. Clock watchers, eh? So we're trying to take corrective action if the targets are not met, and we initiate service improvements, right? I'm the service level manager, so I need to initiate improvements because we're not meeting the targets. We're not gonna be at 100%, but we should be very close. The objectives of service level management is to manage the agreements and review the targets and responsibilities documented in the service level agreements. Service level agreements can be referred to as the acronym SLAs. What is an SLA? Service level agreement, okay? What is an OLA? Operational level agreement. An OLA is an agreement between internal departments, okay? A service level agreement is an agreement between the customer and the service provider, okay? We might need to work with the business relationship manager to improve customer relationships. Okay, maybe we've been breaching a lot of tickets, right? And they're not happy over there. My customer is not happy about the service that they're receiving. Me as a service level manager might not be the one to go over there by myself. I might need to call the business relationship manager and say, Gregory, can you bring your retro metro phone, enjoying me in this meeting. Okay, I'll let go. I'll let go, Greg. I'll let go. Just hang with me, man. So I might need to work with the business relationship manager to say, hey, you know, we screwed up. You know, we haven't been delivering, and I know, you know, you're managing those relationships. Can you help me figure out how can we fix this? Okay, we have a plan of action, and I need you to help me present it to the customer, and see if we can repair this relationship. So we're working closely with the BRM. We're making sure all IT services have targets in place. We're monitoring and improving customer satisfaction. We're making sure IT and the customers have a clear and unambiguous understanding of the service level to be delivered. Okay. And we're trying to implement cost-effective solutions to improve the service performance. Okay. So what is it that we're doing here? We are managing the agreements between the client and the service provider by outlining in writing, as detailed as possible, what those agreements are, so that we can use that as a frame of reference for measuring performance in the form of metrics. Okay. And that's basically what I'm doing. As a service level manager, I'm making sure that the client understands what they're receiving and that the service provider understands what they are supposed to deliver. Okay? And if the client later says, well, you guys are not delivering, hey, well, let me go pull out them reports. And look, this is how we are delivering. You know, we're in the green, okay? And we're continuing service improvement, so we're making adjustments, all right? Are the adjustments not fast enough? Well, let's try to mediate the situation. Again, we're dealing with people again, right? The most difficult element in existence. All right, so service level management is the bridge between IT and the business, and this person is trying to stay neutral, right? But neutral here pretty much means this person should be focused on creating a win-win situation, in essence. Okay, mediate so that the concept of value it still stands for the customer. So the process methods need to be neutral. Service level management looks at current and future services, collecting and documenting realistic customer requirements. We don't want to promise something we cannot deliver. Okay, during the service design, service level management makes sure all services have targets and will not negatively affect other services. Okay, so and this is kind of the process, right? We're going to plan, implement, monitor, and then review the service level performance. Those are kind of the steps that the service level manager will take. Key concepts: we need to manage the relationship between business relationship manager and the service level management. So there has to be a good, strong relationship there. If the business relationship manager and the service level manager are not having good communication, that's going to affect what? Customer satisfaction. If the customer is not satisfied, that's going to affect what?
Perception of value.
Perception of value. And if the perception of value decreases, that's going to affect what? The overall bottom line of the IT department, right? Which is dollars, money, financial. Somebody is gonna be in the hot seat with their job if things don't get fixed right away, right? So this is where company culture, right, kind of kicks in. Yes, Raja.
So, the VR and SLM, as far as the service level requirements, do they get it? Do they get it from the customer, or do they work with the business relationship manager to get the requirements?
Oh, okay. Good question. Okay, here's what happens, and you're kind of getting ahead of me because I'm going to describe this, right? The question is, how do we get to the end result or the end product of a service level agreement, right? How do we put it together? Well, let's say that I have an idea about a business or providing a service, or a new department needs services from the IT department. First, I can ask for what we call a service level requirement. Let's say that you and I have a business idea of partnering so that I, the IT department, provide service to you. I'm not sure what you want and what you need. Right? So before I even outline a service level agreement, I may ask you to provide me with that service level requirement. Tell me what you need. Put it in writing before I say, yes, I can deliver what you're asking for, and before I say, no, I cannot deliver what you're asking for. We don't have the capability, so let's not even move forward. Okay? Give me your service level requirements. What do you need? So if you're a new business, you deploy, let's say you're investing $2 million, or, I don't know, $2 million is not that much these days. $50 million in, buying some property down in San Ramon, building a 10-story building with office space and so on and so forth. And now you need technical support. Well, I may not have a clear understanding of the nature of your business and the overall objectives of your business. And so I need you to tell me what you need before I can say, yes, I can deliver or not. And so I'm going to ask you to put it in writing. This is called a service level requirement. Right? Once you've given me a service level requirement, then I can go ahead and outline a service level agreement. So I'm going to say, oh yeah, I can deliver this, and that. This item we need to negotiate. Hey, listen, you're asking for too much. I cannot deliver that, Or, what you're asking for here is going to cost more dollars. And so unless you agree to the cost, I cannot outline a service level agreement, because I'm not going to set my team up for failure, okay? And I'm not going to overwork my people, my human resources. And so I'm going to need to cover the cost, right? Now we're talking about value creation and managing that value creation, that perception of value. Okay, you want this much, and it's that much valuable to you, then I need cost to cover the additional people that I need to hire, the new skills that I need to build, right? I may need to outsource and hire externally. Okay, or maybe I need to train internally. So I'm insourcing training, professional development in science. I have to take all these things into consideration before I can outline a service level agreement. And then before I move on with providing the service, it may be that I need 2 or 3 departments or more within my organization to work together in coordination in order to provide this service to this one customer. And so I'm not just gonna make an agreement with the customer and not make agreements with the internal. So I want this department and that department to have operational level agreements, or what we call OLAs, so that this department agrees to perform at this level, because the performance of this department drives the performance of this other department. If this department is not successful, then neither is this one. And by having agreements, internal agreements within the organization, then I can hold or be held responsible for the performance or lack thereof, right? And then I can say, well, I'm not performing because that department is not performing, and we're dependent. We're dependent on the performance of that department. Or in some cases, we are interdependent, right? That department depends on my performance, and I depend on the performance of that department. And so if we don't have operational level agreements, then that can affect the culture of the organization, because people's perceptions, right? Here we go again with the people. See, the people are just the hardest, right? people begin to make assumptions of man, that department over there, we're doing all the work and they're not doing anything, and they get paid a lot more, get more vacation, right? And so then the conflicts begin, and then that, can affect, the quality of the product, the performance, and that can affect customer satisfaction, and that can affect value perception, and that can affect the bottom line. Now we're losing business because of this one thing, right? In the chain. And then it may be also that I need to go out to suppliers. I need suppliers to bring in products in order for me to provide this service to this customer. And so I might need to go out and create contracts. With my suppliers, third-party suppliers, I create contracts. We call them underpinning contracts. This is a legal document. These documents right here, the SLA, service level agreements, and the service level requirements, and the operational level agreements are not legally binding contracts, not legally binding documents. That's a test question for the ITL Foundation. Which of the following is a legally binding agreement, right? And then you're gonna get a list, right? SLA, OLA, underpinning contract. Also, you might see underpinning contract as an acronym, UC. All right, that doesn't mean University of California, no. It's underpinning contract, okay? You might see operational level agreement as an acronym, OLA. You might see service level agreement as SLA. You might see service level requirements as SLR. Okay, something to keep in mind. And then we're gonna, as part of the service level management process, we may need to work with the continual service improvement team in order to improve the service level agreements as we move forward, right? And then we're gonna need to do metrics. It's another key concept, right? So we need to monitor the delivery of the service, the performance, the quality, and we do that by making sure that we can produce metrics. And we're gonna learn in this slide or in this presentation about SLAM. SLAM or slamming is the process of evaluating performance. And SLAM here stands for Service Level Agreement Metrics. Service Level Agreement Monitoring, but it can also represent metrics. We're going to break right here, and let's be back at 1:30. Go ahead.
I'm not sure if I remember that correctly from the book, but I think it mentioned something about multiple levels in this agreement.
Okay.
It's just like a subset that regulates the relationship with.
I think we talk about that in my next slide. Yeah. Okay.
Real quick before anybody leaves, who else does not need a parking pass? Can you raise your hand? I've been meaning you to meet my YouTube.